Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Supporters Discuss. This is the second one we're doing and today's topic is Ryan Lowe, in or out. Now this is of course a massive debate around Twitter at the minute and the opinions are incredibly diverse, they're incredibly personal and they're very interesting to read through all across the internet. So I thought, why not band together some Preston North End supporters once again and let's discuss what we think about Ryan Lowe through 5 simple questions. These questions will give you all the answers you need to know about the supporters' thoughts regarding Ryan Lowe's current situation, his success, his flaws, his pros, and also whether or not he's going to stick around long enough to see us promoted to the Premier League or if he's the one to do it. So yeah, commence the supporters discussion.
Thank you to 8-Bit Preston once again for allowing me on the channel. Today I am going to be giving you my thoughts on the current Ryan Lowe situation. We all know that he has been struggling a lot, especially at home this season, and I'm going to be answering a few questions, giving you my thoughts, and it'll be really interesting to hear what the other Preston fans have to say on this video as well, because I know on Preston North End Twitter it's like half the fans against the other half at the moment. We've got Ryan Lowe out, and then we've got fans like myself that want to, give him a few more chances and hope that he can turn this form around. So he's been in for over a year now, and I would say his first year has been pretty successful. Of course, last season we were a bit more exciting, a lot more exciting really than we have been this season. We still picked up the exact same results. We were drawing all over the place, but they were actually entertaining, unlike the draws this season. We were drawing games 2-2 and losing 2-0 at half time with only 10 men after getting sent off. And we came back with lots of fight and it was entertaining basically. And we all know this season it's been boring. We've been losing games, not scoring goals at all at home this season. Picking up 0-0s, which does have its positives, of course. Clean sheets are very good, but when you're just defending for the full 90 with a few counter-attack opportunities, it's not entertaining at all. And I can understand why there's frustration there, but I would like to see him, be given, at least until the end of March. I mean, we're coming up to March now, so 1.5 months is what I'll give him. To see if he can turn this around. If not, then yeah, I agree, we'll need to look for a new replacement. So what are Lowe's main weaknesses? I would have to say his interviews, his press conferences, the fact that he says that we will be playing attacking football and then we come out and we're completely defensive basically. Also other things like we've been absolutely dreadful in games and then he's come out after the game and said, no, I thought we were pretty good. Either he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about and he genuinely thinks that what he just watched was good football. If that's the case, then we need a switch ASAP. Or he could just be, twisting the story a bit, and that's what managers can do sometimes, where they'll come out with a load of rubbish basically. They even know that themselves, and they'll try their best to come back better in the next game, which hasn't been looking likely this season at all, but I still want to give him a few more opportunities. What are his main strengths? At the moment I can't think of any. The only good positive things that have happened this season really was the trip to Spain during pre-season, and then all the hype for this season as well, with all the atmosphere, the flags at home as well, the build up to this game, and the build up to the games, the build up to the season. And it's probably the fact that when after all this hype, we are watching the most boring football we have seen for quite some time, and I think that's just the big disappointment, after all the hype. So yeah, come on to the next question now, which will he be sacked before the 2024 season? I do think he will be sacked, but if he can turn it around obviously and keep it up, that's the main thing as well. He has to turn it around and then keep it that way as well, keep consistent with good positive results. Then he might still be here by 2024, but I'd highly doubt that. Look, I want him to do really well. I'm pretty sure all the other fans want him to do really well as well. It's just come to the stage now where we have been absolutely terrible at home, and if you can't win home games, then you've got a massive problem right there straight away. We have been good at away from home, and that's what's given him this lifeline. If we lose our away form, then he's going to be gone very, very soon, basically. Is he the right man for the job? At the moment, no. It's all about the next month and a half to see if he can really turn this form around. And as I said, if not, yeah, I agree, he has to go.
Right, welcome back to another segment on the channel that involves me. Today we're talking about the Ryan Lowe situation and what should happen to him going forward, given the lack of performance, I think it's fair to say, from North End in recent weeks. Now, first of all, would I say Ryan Lowe's first year here at North End has been successful? Not really. I don't really think it's been that much of a success. Now, just to give a few of my thoughts. I was probably more of a supporter of him staying until recent weeks. I felt quite sorry for him, given, obviously we have a lack of investment. We've only signed one player for a fee this year, and that was Freddie Woodman, and that was, well, our hand was forced because we had no senior keepers. But I just think in recent weeks, the football's not getting better, and he's not helping himself with some of the things he's coming out and saying in the media, with the gung-ho approach and all the rest of the stuff. So I wouldn't say it's been a success. Obviously, he's delivered us good wins, the 4-1 at Blackburn and beating Blackpool at home, but there's been some really poor defeats, and I think 4-0 at Luton, the 4-0 to Norwich, 3-0 to Burnley, well, the 4-2 to Blackpool, and yeah, just the whole round lack of performance, the lack of goals at home. It's taken us till the 15th of February to score 10 goals at home in the league, which is just ridiculous. Like that. A couple of seasons ago we'd done that by probably the end of August, early September. So the fall off is not good, and so I'd say that Ryan Lowe's first year at North End, it's not been a success. Now, for me, one of Ryan Lowe's biggest flaws is his mouth, because he comes out with far too much stuff that just plain is not true. For example, when he talks about the attacking brand we play, the attacking brand we play, which we just straight up do not play an attacking brand of football. It's negative. It's nowhere near as good as what we had. And I know he's a bit of a poison chest to talk about, but under Alex Neil, what we were playing with him was far, far much better than what we play with now. Obviously, the squad's regressed as well, which doesn't help. But then again, you need to do the best job available with the tools that you've got, and he just is not doing a good job with what he's got available to him. As well, try to take credit as well somehow for the youth team win. I don't quite know what else to say about that. And also, he's just got a lack of tactical flexibility. He's very reactive substitutions instead of proactive substitutes. Try just only responding with substitutes after something's happened in the game, rather than say if the score is 0-0, making to try and change the game. Yeah, he might have done that at Hull on the weekend, but Troy Parrott, he should have scored that chance. Troy Parrott, he's not made much of a difference as to what Liam Delap did. And then the other change was, of course, when Jordan Story being injured, and that meaning with Bamo Diaby coming on. Now, what is Ryan Lowe's biggest strength? He's a good salesman. He's managed to get us Delap, Cannon and Onomer to somehow come into the club despite how poorly we play. But apart from that, listen, I'm trying to think, but there's nothing really that stands out as, this is something that separates him from another manager in the Championship, because, there's nothing that springs to mind about him. In fact, he does a good fist bump every once in a while, doesn't he? Now, is he the man for the job going forward? In my opinion, no. Because he's had enough time, to show us what he can do, and it just doesn't seem to be working out as both parties would have hoped to. The play that we offer isn't good enough, and at the end of the day, we're starting now to slow down delivering results, and we're still not safe in the division. I think we all need to remember, because if you look over our shoulder, I'm filming this today after Hull away. Huddersfield won yesterday, Blackpool won yesterday, Wigan got a draw yesterday, Cardiff won on Friday night. Those behind us are starting to pick up form, and we need to get some wins from somewhere. And with Ryan Lowe, I just can't see him coming in. So for me, I don't think he's the man for the job. Now, will he be sacked before the 24-25 season? For me, I think he should be. I think he should be sacked soon as, to be honest, because it's just not good enough at the moment. It's over a month now since we've won. But will he? I don't know, because we're a club up for sale at the end of the day, you've got to remember. And will a club that's wanting to sell have no manager in place and have that instability in the coaching leadership at the club? I don't know. Now, that's all I've got to say today. Thanks again for having us on this channel, and yeah, I'll catch you next time.
Honestly, it's hard to say if his first season's been successful, his first year rather. Position-wise in the table, you would have to say yes, because if we were all to say where we think North End would finish before the season started, we would say somewhere between 16th and 10th, which is where we are now. So he hasn't done anything spectacular in terms of league position, but he's certainly not underachieved position-wise. However, I do think that if it wasn't for the form at the beginning of the season, where we drew a lot of 0-0s and we got a couple of 1-0 wins, that this conversation will be very, very different and we'll be a lot closer to the relegation zone. I think that early season form has saved us to a large degree, which is worrying. His best strength, I don't know. If you'd have asked me this in the summer, I'd have said uniting the fan base. But now at the end of February, I couldn't tell you. I don't know if he's the best man for the job. There's probably certainly worse. But with the amount of turnover we've had over the last 5 years, the job's become a bit of a chalice, a poison chalice to take. I certainly wouldn't want it, and I support North End. So there are so many better options in this division for managers to go to. I mean, Ainsworth, who's recently took the QPR job, implied that if he was going to take another championship job, then it would have been Rovers, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth because of how well loved he is at North End. But I think it says a lot about the current situation. So it's hard to say if Ryan Lowe's the man for the job, because I don't think there'll be many men wanting the job if he was to go. And to your last question of would he be sacked by the end of next season, I think it's a coin flip whether he finishes this season, to be truthful. Let's not beat around the bush. Today's result against Wigan has bought him time, but he is still on that scaffold with the hangman's noose around his neck. Results, especially at home this year, have not been good enough. There were shades of this last year. There was concern amongst the fan base about the lack of goals in the first half and how it didn't seem we got going until about the 50th, 55th minute. I think this year it's even worse, now that you've got Cameron Archer out of the team, who made a lot of half chances into goals, and Reece hasn't hit last season's heights, whether that be because of his injury, which he's out for the season now, or if it was to do with the alleged transfer saga in the summer, with the club refusing to sell to Middlesbrough. Has he mentally checked out? Has he potentially down tools? Who's to know? Was he a one season wonder? Potentially. But if you look at his record over his career, he's not been a consistent goal scorer. Has he potentially just hit form once and then that's it now? Should we have cashed in for allegedly 7-8 million? Potentially. So it's hard to say. I mean, the squad I mentioned earlier is lacking quality. However, I refuse to believe that he can't get more out of this squad. There are good players in that team, but whether he can get a tune out of them is a different matter. We've set up far too negatively at home with a back five, and then the back five are covered by a midfield that are grafters, but there's not a lot of individual creative quality in them. I think it's around 14 times this season we haven't scored a goal in a game. And we're on nearly 30 games now. So it's a 50-50 chance so far this season whether we're going to actually score a goal in a game or not, and that is a major concern. I think our top goal scorer is probably Evans, with 7 goals, if I'm being generous. So a team that doesn't score a lot and has started to concede a lot and doesn't pick up a lot of points, I mean, what do you do there with the manager? You can't sack 11 players, can you?
Would I say Lowe's first year has been successful? I mean, no. I mean, he got us out of a shit situation last season when Frankie left. He kind of got the place bouncing, and he kind of, for a little bit, put, to his words, the feel-good factor back at Deepdale. But generally, where we're at isn't where most fans want to be. You know, we're at a point where we've been back in the Championship for, you know, 8 years nearly, and what actually, you know, have we achieved in that 8 years? 11th place pretty much every single season, bar one when we finished 7th. You know, I think I just, at this point, with all the talk that he had, I was expecting a bit more than what we've had so far. Lowe's main flaw, I think it's the same for a lot of managers these days. They have no plan B. They want to do what they do and then not have an alternative solution to, you know, so say Norwich a few weeks ago went 3-0 down and we had no plan B really. We never even looked like getting back in the game. That seems to be a major issue within general football at the moment, is that managers are stuck in their ways and don't really want to do anything else. That, I think, has to be Lowe's main flaw. Lowe's biggest strength is very much his mouth. He loves to run his mouth, doesn't he? He loves to fill us with bullshit. Guy's been talking shit for ages. And all right, at the start, there was an element of actually we might believe him because we were playing good football. But it's slowly declined over the last 12 months. You know, after towards the end of last season when we had that defeat against Reading, it's just slowly started to slip a little bit. And I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. I don't like that. I think the constant talk of we want to play this brand of football, you know, that we've just not seen over the last few months. He keeps trying to get the fans back on side, but at the moment, the only way to get the fans back on side is to deliver on these promises, which we just haven't seen so far. Is he the man for the job? See, this is an interesting one because, you know, we saw him at Bury and we saw him at, oh God, I can't remember where else. When we saw him at Plymouth. You know, they're on relatively tight budgets, relatively shoestring budgets, and look at what he did with them. Bury were in financial turmoil at the time, and he got them into the League Two playoffs. You know, Plymouth, you know, they've not been in the Championship for, you know, over a decade. Like, I'm old enough to remember when they were last in the Championship. I'm old enough to remember when they got relegated and when they just dropped into League Two. So, you know, for them, he's done well with them for what they've got, and we have a crap budget for the Championship, you know. So, is he the man for the job? I don't know. I do feel like I want to give him more time, and it's not entirely his fault as of where we are at the moment. Will he be sacked by 24-25? I can see it happening. I can see, at the moment, the discontent rising amongst the fan base and the owners taking the decision to give him the axe. But like I said before, I don't think it's entirely his fault. I don't think he's blameless at all, whatsoever. I do not think he's blameless because, like I've said before, he keeps wanting to talk about this attacking brand of football that we just haven't seen in the last few months. But at the same time, he doesn't necessarily have the backing of the board, which no manager has, because we're such a tight-fisted club that no manager has ever had the backing. I mean, think about it, you know, when Alex Neil was in charge, we were in a great spot, and then we sold Callum Robinson and Jordan Hugill, which we shouldn't have done, because if we hadn't have done, we might have been able to make it to the Prem. We might have then sold them on for more. And you know what? At this point, I'd just be happy for one season in the Premier League. Just happy with one season. You know, perfectly happy with that. That'd be great. Just to shut the fucking lashes up about, oh, we've been in the Prem one season, where have you been? It's like, yeah, well, we've got more of a history, so suck my dick, you pricks. I have to know him as well because I fucking live in Blackpool. But, you know, I can see it happening, but I don't think it's entirely his fault. I think we've been saying that for too long, though. So, you know, at what point do we stop making excuses?
Now, of course, much like last time, we do have some supporters that would rather send their opinions through as a message rather than as a video or audio, and that is perfectly fine. Would you say Lowe's first year is successful? First supporter Mick Aspden says, going from the calendar year from the date of his appointment to the restart after the World Cup, then I think results wise he has been fairly successful. If there was more of a balance between the home and away results, I think he'd have been under less scrutiny. However, since then I think his weaknesses have been seriously exposed and his reaction to various situations and results have been at times baffling. What is Lowe's main flaw? Ego, which seems to flag up a stubbornness against change. If you haven't got the available players to play your preferred formation/system, then develop a plan B suited to what you have. Grayson did this and so did Moyes. He seemed to be one of those managers that is better suited to when things are going well and likes to talk himself up a lot, but when he encourages a few obstacles or setbacks resorts to finger pointing. Having a go at the fans for booing him off is never going to be well received, especially with the standard of performance deliveries. Injuries, suspensions, play mistakes, players not doing what asked, etc. are all mentioned by him, but it never appears that he looks at what he could do better. When he arrived at North End, I thought with some of his interviews he was pretty disrespectful to McAvoy, yet here we are more than 12 months on, and Lowe's record isn't as good as his predecessor, and I think most North Enders would agree that home performances are a lot worse than anything Frankie delivered. Could you imagine the fan meltdown McAvoy had have played a player like Diaby at right back/right wing back like Lowe did against Norwich, even though Brown can play there? What is Lowe's best strength? While his ego in my honest opinion is a weakness, the flip side to that is, with his self-confidence and belief, the players do seem to want to play for him. He's been able to get players who seem to be for the exit playing well again, which previously we would have ended up having to pay off, for example Potts, Lindsay and Story, etc. However, the risk is that if the results don't improve, then it can all be seen as bluster and not walking the walk. Hard to say because we've seen the good and bad side of him, so I'd be inclined to give him a chance for now. However, if results don't pick up soon and we got dragged into a relegation fight, then the decision will be made for him. What I will say though is a lot of the issues affecting the management and playing side are the consequences of decisions made outside of his control and sit with Ridsdale and the owners. Peter Ridsdale's apparent inference in transfers and contracts hasn't been great looking at Wickham, Cook, Olasunde, Harrop, so would a new manager be able to deliver better? They didn't back Davies, Simpson, Grayson, Neil when we were in a decent position, so it's ever going to be any different? I imagine the killer question when Ridsdale is interviewing for a new manager is, can you make a silk purse out of a sow's ear? If the answer is a resounding yes, then the job is theirs. Will he be sacked before the 24-25 season? No, however, I don't think he will be there by the end of the 24-25 season due to one of two reasons. A, results continue to be poor, or B, results improve and he is back swagging around talking himself up again and another club with a bigger budget comes in for him. Our next supporter is Tristan. In response to the first question he says, yeah, I think so. Lowe's first year has been successful. There's been good times and entertaining games, but also some not so great times, but overall I think we've progressed. Lowe's main flaw is a lack of a backup plan, sticks to his system too much and doesn't usually make changes soon enough. His biggest strength is he's united the fans and seems to get behind his players. Merging the last two questions, I believe it's 50-50 whether he does well and leaves or fails and gets sacked. He won't be here in 24-25 however. Our final supporter is Josh, whose opinions proved popular in the previous video, so let's go again. As an overall, I'd say Lowe's first year has been overall successful. He's done what he was brought in to do, but his main flaw, I'd have to say it's a mixture between his stubbornness and his refusal to accept the blame in an interview. A lot of cracks have been shown in Lowe's side and he's not really acknowledged any of the issues that are rooted within the squad. However, for me, his biggest strength would probably be his faith in the squad, which he does help the players know that Lowe has his faith in them. As for if I think he's the man for the job, personally I've never particularly had faith in Ryan Lowe, and as of recently that lack of faith looks to not be that misguided. For me, Lowe needs to change up the tactics as teams have found ways to exploit our biggest weaknesses after we appeared so defensively solid at the beginning of the season. In my opinion, if Lowe's form continues as it is at the moment, I wouldn't be shocked to see him sacked by the end of this season. Whilst the away form is great, the home form is shambolic, and results from home are more valuable as it's a game of business, and if the home form remains the same all season, that will be a lot of lost money. Sponsors at home will want to pull out as they wouldn't want the business to have association with that form, and it would be difficult to find solid replacements. I'd like to give a massive thank you for everyone for participating in Supporters Discuss once again. It proved to be a very popular project once more, and I'm very happy the first video did so well. Hopefully this one will do just as well, and we can continue to make these videos because they are good fun to make, if not tiring, but also it's nice to get some opinions from other North End supporters out there who don't exactly have a platform to share their opinions. Now then, just like last time, the supporters have given their opinions, so what about my take on this topic? Do I think Ryan Lowe should go, or should he just sort his shit out? Now then, I'll answer the same questions. Would I say Ryan Lowe's first year is successful? I'd say so, yeah. By first year, I'd probably say calendar year, just like a few other supporters did, because his first season was only half a season, if that, and then of course we haven't even finished a full season with him yet. But he's been with us for over a year now, and in that year he got some pretty good results. We've had some pretty good performances and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'd say it's been a good success so far, and he's proved to be one of those managers that you either love or hate. Now, of course, that comes with its own host of problems, but that's just personal preference in the supporters that do like him, such as myself, and those that don't like him, such as many on Twitter at the minute. But yeah, like I said, it just comes with part of the job, I suppose. His main flaw for me is, I don't know, it probably has to be, as everyone else has said, his ego and his, how stubborn he is. Because if you just look at the squad we have, it's not inherently one that can play the system that he wants to play, and it's blatantly obvious at times when players just cannot fill the role they were, put there to fill. So it's as simple as that, really, sometimes. But in terms of, him being stubborn in terms of the system, his ego as well, he's an absolute massive loudmouth when it comes to interviews and winning. But at the same time, an interview was recently published with him after this Coventry game, which obviously, of course, a lot of these opinions were given before Wigan. So this is obviously it's a while in the making, but you have to expect that. But coming from my point of view now, I always do my segment last. Coming from a point of view where he's recently given an interview after the Coventry game saying that when he finished that Wigan game and they finally won, he went home and he just completely broke down. That where his mental health is just boom. And he didn't address it like that, but that's what he would get. That's what you can interpret. In other words, he's very, very slowly been beaten down by the fans and everything else going on around him. And it's understandable to see why, but at the same time, he's not doing himself any favours. His biggest strength for me, a lot of people would argue the same thing as well. His mouth can also be a massive talking point. For example, he's a great salesman, getting the players that we got in the transfer window just gone, as well as in the summer, getting himself in the job and all that good stuff. Cameron Archer last season. Yeah, he's a great salesman. You got to give him that much. But you can also say his best strength is learning to adapt to what is around him. And this might sound stupid because I've just said he's stubborn about what he's got. But what I mean by this is how quickly he's settled into the club and how much he's already, feeling the culture within the club. That's what I'm trying to say. He loves his players, he likes the staff, they all get on well. It's like a second family for him. And I think that will also help to boost his morale and the players' morale. So as long as you've got that nice figure in there to, give you a boost, the players will be, having a bit more of a better time. The performances could get better. So yeah, it all just comes into one little package like that, and I think it's really cool. Is he the man for the job? Maybe, maybe not. You could say the same question with every manager we've ever had, for example, like Alex Neil. Alex Neil got us 2 points from the playoffs in his second season in charge, and it was only 2 points away from it in 7th place, I think it was. So yeah, it was a very, very tight race, and it was very close, and we almost closed that gap, but we couldn't manage it. However, with Ryan Lowe, we was in the playoffs come, just before the break for the World Cup in November. But after the break, we've been, very hit and miss. So, are the playoff chances alive this season? Yes, they're still there, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than it originally was. So, you can't make promises. People want Ryan Lowe to come into the club and get us promoted within his first full season in charge. It's unrealistic, and that's why a lot of people are getting upset when I try and call that out, because everyone says, yeah, we need to expect this, otherwise it's going to be the same thing. But then if you sack the manager, it's going to be the same circle of sack the manager, get someone in, change the system, sack the manager because he's not working with the system. That's what I'm trying to say. It's one big, boosh operation. A manager needs at least 3 full years, in my opinion. But if they're not going to give him that, then he's never going to be able to show what he's actually capable of. Like I said, he has problems, and there are cracks in the system, but eventually they'll be ironed out and they'll be filled in. So, we just got to give it time. And will he be sacked before 24-25? I really do hope not. As much as he can chat a lot of shit and be this and be that, I do think he's a genuinely decent bloke. Underneath the mask he has to put on for the conference and whatnot, he's not a bad bloke. There is someone under there that is trying his very best to please so many desperate fans that want a taste of the Premier League. And as much as we say we aren't ready for the Premier League, they still want the Premier League. So we're a very difficult, fan base to please, because we have so many mixed opinions about everything that we can't please everyone. No one can please anyone anymore. So yeah, it's a very strange time at the moment in terms of what we're discussing, because not everyone's on Lowe's side, not everyone's on the team side, not everyone is even considering supporting the club, for fuck's sake. I've seen a couple of people going crazy with what they're saying, but then one win later and they're back on board. So it's a results game at the end of the day. That's how you persuade the fans to stay, but the fans are just not looking too interested regardless. So like you say, it is what it is at the minute, but it needs changing, and it might not be Lowe's fault, it might be Lowe's fault, but like I said, we don't know. We're not in the club. We cannot find that out. So they are my opinions. And of course, everyone else's opinions matter way more than mine. So that's why I've left mine for last. Otherwise, I could have done mine first. But yeah, like I said at the start, I appreciate every single one of you for coming on to doing this. Thank you so much. That was not good English, but I'm tired. So yeah, thanks all a ton. I really do appreciate your help. And of course, the next time I do tweet about a supporters discuss that I need supporters for, be sure to just drop a reply or drop me a DM straight after that, and we will get something sorted out for you to appear on the next video. So if you want a chance to appear in supporters discuss, of course, follow my Twitter, link in the description and on screen now, and just essentially put the notifications on for every time I make a tweet. And when eventually I make a tweet with some sirens that says supporters discuss or chance to be in a video, that's how you know you need to take action if you want to be in the video. You know, to give yourself a platform on top of mine, so you can voice your opinions on our beloved Preston North End. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I appreciate your patience once again in getting this out. Things are getting difficult, like I said. Work's finally come back in, so I've not got as much free time anymore. I had to wait on the answers as well. We had some problems in getting some answers through as well. People, you know, pulling out and all that good stuff. It was a mess, just like the first one, but it was a happy accident in the end. So yeah, it's all good. But yeah, anyways, thanks a ton for watching. I don't know when this is going out, but whenever it's going out, I hope to see you for the next episode of Matchday Report, whenever that may be. Thank you all once again. Come on, you Whites.